Okay, gang, we've made it to week 5, and I just want to say thank you for sticking with me in this process. I know that, again, this is an accelerated course, and there's a ton of information that happens over a very short period of time. And so I know that you're probably got some measure of fatigue as you're going through this process, but thank you for sticking with me. And hopefully this will be very helpful. Week 5 is basically, it's not really a question, it's an application of learning, a case study report. So um, by the end of this week, the objective is ultimately to just finish the class, but to have finished the class by turning in your final paper. So in terms of preparing, there is no reading for this week. I just want you to be very focused on completing the assignment at hand. Understand a couple of things to understand within this idea, the framework of prepare, understand, develop, and turn in. In terms of understanding, I want you to be prepared to take with you a working knowledge that what you have just learned in this course is actually tangible. It's actually practical and applicable. I know I've mentioned this before in the course, but yes, academically, I'm here to provide leadership as a professor, but pragmatically, I am trying to work this out too. And so really make this your effort as you work on this. Praxis matters at this institution of learning at NES. And this is a great opportunity for you to demonstrate how academic learning and praxis have a deep and profound intersection with the institution that you're at and the situation that you're in. So in terms of development as a whole, I want you to know the truth of what's happening in your organizational context. Think about your situation and ask yourself some key questions. Does your organization value effective, healthy change management? Don't assume that it does, but ask yourself that question. Do you value effective, healthy change management? Is that true of your organization? Number 2, does your organization value effective, healthy organizational diagnosis? Do they want to find out what the problems are? Do they want to get to the bottom of that and then begin to work a plan out based on what they found? Number 3, do you value long-term examination of an implemented change as impactful or not impactful? So it's one thing to try to set something up, but it's another thing to actually stick it out, to be a part of the duration of what's been going on and to actually see, did this actually work or not, to quantify some results toward that end. And then lastly, in terms of development, can you personally provide leadership to help with change management and organizational diagnosis? Those things that you can help with, identify those and speak up. Those things that you can't, identify those and speak up. The great thing about organizational diagnosis and change management is it not only allows you an opportunity to provide effective systemic change, it invites others into the process as well, because we understand that we as leaders, we can't solve all the problems. And so the interdependence of leadership, you're leaning in on other people, it's just vitally important in this process. And then lastly, I want you to turn in a final paper. This is about a 5,000 word paper, so essentially 20 pages. We're grad students, and so I think that's not an unfair thing. But that 5,000 word paper, that is a strategic attempt to address a very real systemic need for change and tracking change in the organization that you're affiliated with. It could be your local church, it could be a faith-based nonprofit, it could be a for-profit organization. I actually want you to identify a problem and to come up with a strategic attempt to address a systemic need for change in that organization. And so in order to do that, I gave you a framework that I think would be helpful to work with. The paper has to seek to do the following. Number 1, identify a truly tangible organizational issue that is in need of change. Identify that, and then also look at aspects of leadership characterization. Go back to the Allender text. What does the leader need to be capable of for this systemic change? What are the pitfalls that the leader must avoid? Is that leader you? And if so, write about that. Use the Allender text. Bring all that you learned in from that information and apply it to your paper. Okay. Within that as well, you want to identify a team. The identification of team characterization. So okay, these are good chunks of the paper. What did Lencioni write about? Take some time to ask yourself, what sort of team is needed to accomplish the issue that you're identifying organizationally, And then what are the pitfalls that the team needs to avoid to seek to accomplish the organizational goal? That's huge. It's a great opportunity to write toward that end. Then I want you to engage most profoundly, because this is a class about organizational diagnosis and change management. I want you to write to me about how Kotter's 8-stage process could play out in helping you to solve the organizational challenge that's in front of you. Establishing a sense of urgency, creating a guiding coalition, developing a vision and a strategy, communicating the change of the vision, empowering employees for broad-based action, generating short-term wins, consolidating gains and producing more change, anchoring new approaches in the culture. These are all really, really important things that could take up the largest part of your paper. And then finally, as I've mentioned before, land that plane. Undergraduates and graduate students really struggle to just kind of bring the paper to a close. So do that with a good conclusion. If you do that and you turn this in by the end of classes of week 5, you'll be fine. And I look forward to reading those. Again, as a practitioner, I may read and just think, hey, this is a great idea, and this issue is similar to what I'm facing in my organization. And I might ask you if I can borrow some of this information. So that's my hope in this course, is that that this issue would be sort of like a capstone to the course, and that not only would you submit it and have it graded, but that you would just take it with you and say, I actually have a plan that I can be a part of organizational diagnosis and change management within my organization, and that you will actually walk out and go, this class gave me a very practical, very pragmatic way to help my organization. So any questions, any thoughts, any concerns, feel free to email me at rkozey@thechapel.com. I've really enjoyed this class. I've enjoyed teaching you. I know that the online portal creates a little bit of distance in terms of just interpersonal connection. But for those that we were able to establish with the folks that are in this class, thank you. Thank you for contributing. And I pray that the future will be bright for you, and that you will be a key contributor to understanding your organization better and managing said change. God bless you, gang.